Hi, sixth graders. This is Mrs. Gall. Today I'm going to talk through adding and subtracting decimals. Grab your math notebook and put this title at the top of a new page. When you're ready to go, hit play. Adding and subtracting is maybe something you've done in the past, so we're going to start with a little bit of fun going on a pretend trip to Target. You have 3 items to buy. A book for $17.84, a sweatshirt for $22.38, and a pack of cookies for $3.19. How much money would you spend on these 3 items? What do we need to do with those 3 numbers to get our total? Add them. A little refresher on adding decimals. You must line up the decimals before you start adding. What that means is we align the decimals and the numbers around them. All right, let's add up our 3 items. That's a really bad 3. There we go. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 plus 9 is 21 for my first row. Drop the 1, carry the 2. 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 1 is 14. Drop the 4, carry the 1. 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Drop the 3, carry the 1. 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. Now where's the decimal go? It drops right on down straight into your answer. $43.41 is how much you're going to spend on these 3 items. While you're there, you find a movie you wanted for $15. What's your new total? Well, originally we were spending $43.41. Let's add on this new $15. I'm going to move that text out of the way so it's not right in the middle of our problem. If I wanted to add $15, where would I put the 15? Well, $15, if I wrote it out with a decimal, the decimal would fall right after the 5, so I would want to line it up right here. I wouldn't want to put the 15 here because that's where my 41 cents is. And that extra item wasn't 15 cents, it was $15. Now when I add, I drop my decimal into my answer. 3 plus 5 is 8, 4 plus 1 is 5. Now I'm at $58.41. Tax in Iowa is 7 cents per dollar. How much will you pay in tax, and how does this affect your total? How are we going to figure out 7 cents per dollar if we're spending $58.41? Well, this is where our multiplication comes into play. I'm going to bring my problem up here. $58.41 to find tax. We're going to multiply it by our tax, 0.07. 0.07 is the same thing as 0.07, so I can just eliminate that 0 there. Now let's multiply. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Drop the 8, carry the 2. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 2 more is 58. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 5 more is 40. And I have no zeros. This second row would just all be zeros. We would multiply, we get 0, 0, 0. So I don't need to add a second row. Reminder that now we count how many numbers are after the decimal in the problem. 1, 2 for the first number, 1, 2 for the second number. That's 4 places I need to travel. Okay, now money does not go past the hundredths place. So this doesn't quite make sense to us in the money world. We might need to do some rounding here. This looks like about $4.08 in the money world, but if we look at that last 8, the number right next to it is an 8. So let's round it using that third number. Let's round up to $4.09 with that extra piece that was added there. That's just going to tell us to round up, and I knew to round up because this number here was over 5. It was an 8. So that's telling me to round my 8 up to a 9. So that's our tax, you guys. How does that affect our total? our $58.41? Well, we need to add our tax onto it. $4.09 gets added onto our tax. We get 10, carry the 1, 5, drop the decimal. 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. $62.50 is our new total with tax. If you gave the cashier, oh, my menu covered it, $70, how much change will you get back? Oh, $70. And our total was $62.50. What are you thinking? Well, we could write out the problem if we wanted to. We could take our money we paid, $70, and subtract the amount we owe, $62.50. Notice I'm lining up my decimals, and I added a decimal and 2 zeros to 70 so that I could align my numbers and then have values where I needed to line up numbers at. I can't do some of this subtraction without borrowing. I can do 0 minus 0, I would get 0, but I can't do 0 minus 5. So I've got to go over in this top number until I can borrow, and the first place I can borrow is my 7. It becomes a 6. That makes a 0 right next to it a 10, but I still need to get something over here to this 0. So let's borrow from the 10, make it a 9. This 0 now becomes a 10. Now I can do 10 minus 5 to get 5. Drop the decimal down into my answer. This number here I made a 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. And 6 minus 6 is 0. Does $7.50 make sense for how much I'm getting back? Yeah, because I spent $62.50. I gave them $70. $7.50 is my change. That was a lot of computation. We just added, multiplied, and subtracted. Let's move on to trying some more examples. Before we get there, let's think about this question. How does place value impact adding and subtracting decimals? Place value plays a huge role with adding and subtracting. We cannot add and subtract correctly unless we line up our place value. 20 minus 15 cents is not the same thing as 20 minus $15. Those values are very different. So lining up our decimals is going to help us get those accurate answers. Let's just try some examples. The most important thing is you're lining up your decimals. Please keep in mind you can always add zeros into your problem after or before the start of your problem, before the start or after the end, if you need place fillers. So I'm lining up this first problem by lining the decimals up, even though my numbers may not always align. For instance, I have a blank right here with a 9 under it. What could I fill there? I could put a 0 if that helps me fill that place value. Now I add. 0 plus 9 is 9. 8 plus 2 is 10. Drop the 0, carry the 1. 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 2 more is 10. Drop the 0, carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 4. Where does my decimal go? Straight down into my answer. 40 and 9/100ths. Let's try a subtraction problem. 113 and 64/100ths minus 41 and 8/10ths. Notice I'm lining up my decimal. If I had a space, I can include a 0 as a placeholder. Now I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 6 minus 8 would take me into the negatives, and I have something to borrow from, so we need to go and borrow before we do that. We're going to borrow from our 3, make it a 2. Add a group of 10 to our 6, so it becomes a 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. Drop that decimal into your answer. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 4, I need to borrow from my 1, make it a 0. That becomes 11 minus 4 because you're adding a group of 10 to a 1. It's now 11, and 11 minus 4 is 7. 71 and 84 hundredths. Let's try another addition problem. 32 and 34 hundredths plus 15 and 19 hundredths. Notice I lined up my decimals and my numbers happened to line up. Sometimes that will happen. Now I'm going to add, starting over here in my hundredths column. 9 plus 4 is 13. Drop the 3, carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 5. Drop my decimal down into my answer. 2 plus 5 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. 47 and 53 hundredths. A few more. 37 hundredths plus 2 and 548 thousandths. Line up your decimals, paying close attention to that, making sure they're lined up. It's okay if your numbers don't line up. Remember, you can always add in zeros as place fillers, place value holders. Here's a place I could add a 0. 0 plus 8 is 8. 7 plus 4 is 11. Drop the 1, carry the 1. 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. Drop the decimal down into the answer. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 and 918 thousandths. A few more. 45 minus 31 and 52 hundredths. This one will definitely get people. When we think about 45, you don't see a decimal. Where is a decimal in a whole number? Right after the last digit, 5. That means I need to line up 31's decimal right there with 45's. Remember, when you place a decimal in a number, it shouldn't change that number's value. So we don't include it before or in the middle. That would change that number. We want to keep it a 45, which is why we place it right at the end. For this one, it's subtraction, so I am going to require that to add in zeros there so that I can continue this problem. We can't get 0 minus 2, and we can't borrow from this 0. We've got to go all the way over to this 5 and make it a 4. That makes this 0 a 10, which we can borrow from, becomes a 9, and then we can give this 0 a group of 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. Drop the decimal down into your answer. 4 minus 1 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. 13 and 48 hundredths. One more to try. This one is similar to the last, but now we're adding. The reason I say it's similar is we have one whole number in there. Let's practice lining up the decimals on this one. 5 and 6/10 plus 19. Where's the decimal in 19? Right after the last digit, the 9. That's what this one would look like if I lined up the decimals. Now I can start adding. 6 plus 0 is 6. Drop the decimal into our answer. 9 plus 5 is 14. Drop the 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 24 and 6/10. All right, you guys, those are the types of addition and subtraction with decimals that we'll expect you to know. Ask your teacher if you have any questions.